Welcome into the Word with G here on ESPN Chattanooga. We have another special edition for you of our Future Stars of Tomorrow segment. Joining us now is a former GPS athlete and current Southeastern University softball and volleyball player. She's a dual sport athlete. Chapel Cunningham is our guest here today. Chapel, how are you?
Doing good. I'm back home, starting a little bit of training, getting back into volleyball after our softball season ended. Getting excited.
Yeah, you and I were talking about it off the air, and we'll get into it a little bit more later, but it's crazy being a dual sport athlete. You don't really get a chance to kind of recuperate. You don't get a chance to practice one sport in the off season as much as you'd probably like to because you're playing the other sport. But again, we'll get into that a little bit more. You said you were back home in the area. You're in the Chattanooga area. You grew up here. What was it like growing up in this area here for you?
It's been great, honestly. I was born in Georgia, moved here when I was 7, like in second grade. I lived on Signal Mountain for a long time. I have 2 older brothers. They both went to Signal. They both played sports a lot too. Um, yeah, it's been great. The community here is awesome. Everybody wants to help each other out. The athletic world here is super skilled, I feel like, as well. So it's been a big blessing, like being around all these really good athletes too.
Yeah, absolutely. And, how did you first get into sports when you were younger? I did see a story in which you talked about how you actually started playing t-ball or baseball with the boys first before you ended up getting into softball.
I did, yes, I did. So, like I said, I have 2 older brothers, and both of them played baseball, football, basketball. I feel like growing up, I was always at a field or some gym, and I feel like that just kind of like cultivated like my want to play sports. And
Yeah.
then for a while, like I didn't, we didn't really know the area super well, so I knew that my brothers played t-ball, and I like wasn't old enough to like play with the girls. I felt like so I played t-ball with the guys for a long time. That was pretty fun.
Nice.
And
Uh,
then I
yeah, go
found
ahead.
my own kind of team.
Yeah. So then what year or what age do you remember getting into softball?
I think I was like 5 or 6 maybe. I
Okay.
remember playing coach pitch. I always played the circle, like behind the coach, behind the
Yeah.
pitcher. That's all I remember the most, I feel like.
But that's changed. You're no longer a pitcher, right? You play infield, I believe, if I saw
Yes.
correctly. Yeah.
Yep. I'm a utility player now. Freshman year I played first base. This past year I played shortstop.
Wow, all over the
Moving
place.
around.
Love the
Y-
versatility. Again, Chapel Cunningham is our guest here on our Future Stars of Tomorrow segment. All right, so other than volleyball and softball, as you were growing up here in the area, did you get into any other sports, or has it always been sort of volleyball and softball centric for you?
Yeah, so throughout elementary school, I ran track and cross country for a while. I also played basketball. My mom, we played like in a little rec league on Signal Mountain, and my mom was my basketball coach.
Hmm.
So that was pretty fun. I played basketball all the way up until my junior year of high school too. And then I quit because I wanted to play club volleyball. And then COVID happened, so that didn't really work out. And then I played again my senior year as well. So I played like all 3 sports in high school too.
Okay, nice. So
Yeah.
with your two main sports being volleyball and softball, what are the things that you like or love most about those two sports?
I just love the team aspect. Like I have some friends that like played tennis or golf, things like that. And I'm just not that don't have enough patience, but I'm so hard on myself. Like I feel like I need a team, people to lean on and stuff like that. Like when I make an error in softball or mess up, hit the ball in the net in volleyball, like I just look to my teammates and like pump them up and it helps me. So I feel like just like the team aspect, being around other people, knowing that you're not alone. You learn a lot from like watching other people as well. So I think that's been like my favorite thing about playing sports so far.
Now you mentioned golf and tennis. Have you ever tried those sports? Are those sports that you've dove into yet, or not really?
No, I cannot. I'm really good at putt-putt,
Okay,
but I beat my coach. We had
that's
like this.
basically the same.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that. See, because I hit left-handed in softball, but golf, I'm righty, which is
Weird.
kind of odd. And then me and my roommate like play tennis just because she played tennis in high school and was like a all-state player. Like she's super good. She was on my volleyball team. So we just go and like mess around at the tennis courts at school
So
when we have any kind of off time.
basically, she makes you look bad.
Yeah, I hit the ball over the fence. I can't hit it straight. It's so bad.
Again, hanging out with Chapel Cunningham here on our Future Stars of Tomorrow segment. Now, do you have any role models, whether it be in just your regular life or your sports life as well?
Yes, for sure. So in high school volleyball, my coach that I had my sophomore year, her name's Jasmine Brown. She also went to GPS, was super good, played volleyball at Tennessee, coached at like Louisville and some like big schools before she came back to GPS. I just always looked up to her a lot. She's super good, like person, coach, wife, everything like that. And then Coach Crownover, I'm sure you know a lot about her from GPS softball. She's like what made me fall in love with softball again. She's an incredible coach. She just like got inducted into the Hall of Fame, retired after like an incredible career at GPS. She's been awesome. So
So
that's been
what
super cool.
what attributes you talk so highly about her? What attributes do you feel like made her such an incredible coach and an incredible role model and somebody that helped you kind of fall in love with the game of softball?
Yeah, she leads by example like crazy, and that's something that I try to do as well. Um, she encourages and pushes everybody like to their limits. She believes in everybody super highly. Even like when you're down on yourself, like she's like, I have more confidence in you than you do. And that's super cool coming from a coach perspective, I feel like. She loves everybody so well. She's super hard on everyone just because she's like, if I'm not hard on you, that means like I don't care and I don't think that you could do better.
Yeah.
So that's been super cool too.
So why GPS? Talking about GPS and whatnot. Why did you choose to attend GPS? Obviously, it's the big prestigious private school in the area for girls, but why GPS?
Right. So actually in sixth grade, I went to Signal with my brothers. So that was a public school. I only went
Hmm.
there in sixth grade. Their softball team, I knew that I was getting a little bit serious about softball, thinking I wanted to play in college. And I knew that, like from playing travel ball and stuff like that, that high school softball was a big deal. And Signal's team wasn't super good. And so, yeah, I don't know. And I knew some of my friends from elementary school had gone to GPS and they're like, you should come, you should come. But I was like, no, I don't know about that. Like, I've always been a big, like, I'm not a super girly girl, you know? And I was like, going to school with all girls, I don't know about that. So I was a little skeptical at first. And then I went and toured it and I met Coach Crownover and met some like the older girls that played on the softball team. And I was like, okay, I think I'm in. And then I went seventh grade through 12th and I loved it.
So what was it like going there? What was it like playing at GPS? I know you talked about the coach and all that, but what was it like the playing experience? And was it what you expected? Not going there first and going to a public school and then going to a private school.
Right. It was definitely like eye opening a little bit. At first, I was like, it was kind of weird, like not having guys around. And then, but like the whole community and like the air of GPS is just so like laid back and it makes everybody like more calm. I feel like more confident. And then playing at GPS, their coaches are awesome, like I've said. And then just like the people that are there as well, everyone's good. Everyone tries super hard. Just like the skill set there is awesome. And that's like the first softball team that I've been on that everyone cares and wants to be good, you know? And like Coach Crownover also just like leading a school like that, her standards were so high and it like brings all the players up to that. So that was fun to see as well. And it like continued to be like that my seventh grade all the way until I graduated from there. I played up in 8th grade, and that was a super cool experience as well. I got to play with Shelby Walters, who's went to Duke, killed it at Duke, went to Georgia. So it's like I got to play with some super good players now. I don't know, super cool experience, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. Chapel Cunningham, again, our future star of tomorrow. She's a former GPS softball player and now a collegiate athlete as well. Now, when was the moment? Do you remember the moment in which you were like, all right, like I really want to be serious about softball, but I also want to be serious about volleyball as well? And do you remember the moment when you were like, I really want to play both of these sports in college?
Yeah, so I played volleyball, softball, and basketball all like throughout my life. And then junior year, I decided that I wanted like my high school volleyball coach was like, if you really want to play in college, which I totally think you can, I think you need to play club so you can get exposure, to college coaches, stuff like that. Because I feel like a lot of recruiting for volleyball is through club tournaments rather than through high school. So I was like, okay. So I quit basketball to play club volleyball for a little bit, and I got some looks. I played for A5. That was super fun. And then COVID happened, so we didn't get to finish out our season on that one. But I think it was like in my junior year when I realized I was like softball's super fun, but I really enjoy volleyball. I don't know if if that would be possible for me to play both anywhere. But I don't know, because I was looking like at bigger schools for softball, and I knew that like my skill set wasn't probably as high for volleyball because I haven't been playing that as much. I started volleyball when I was in 7th grade.
Hmm.
So I was like, I don't know about that. And then I don't know. I just decided like maybe that's my goal. So I started reaching out for it more.
Very cool. Now, leading into that, Chapel, what was the recruiting process like, trying to find a college that it would allow you to play both and would be okay with you playing both? Because I know a lot of these programs, they're like, all right, you're a one sport athlete, you're playing, let's say, in the spring, and you got to be doing the fall season, you got to practice over the winter. But now with you playing both sports, it kind of takes away a little bit from each. How was the process of trying to find a school that would allow you to do both?
Yeah, so actually, that's a little interesting. So I went to a camp in at Southeastern over, I think it was like over Christmas break a little bit, which is warm there, so it was fine. It was
Yeah.
after I went on a visit to Boston University, and I was gonna go there. Like I thought it was gonna be super fun. I don't like cold weather, so I was a little bit skeptical about that, a little hesitant. And then I was like, well, they didn't have a volleyball team there, so I was like, I don't think that's gonna work for me if I really do want to play volleyball. And I just kind of had to like think about what my priority was. Like if I really just wanted to play softball and put so much work into that and then be as good as I can just in softball if I really did want to play both. And then I played in some tournament, some softball tournament with my travel team, and Southeastern's coach was there. And just so happened that Southeastern's coach and my travel coach were like good friends. So then I went up there for a camp and I did super well at the camp. I don't know what got into me that camp, but she was super interested after that. And then maybe like 2 weeks later, she calls me and she's like, "So what's it gonna take for you to commit? Like, do you want me to talk to the volleyball coach or what?" And I was like, "Wait, like, yes,
Wow.
please talk to the volleyball coach." And then she was like, "Okay," like they were good friends too. So she talks to the volleyball coach, and then the volleyball coach calls me and is like, "Do you want to come down and like practice with our beach team?" I had never played beach in my life. I was like, "Okay, I guess." Like I might as well.
Yeah.
So
What
then
do
I
you have to
went down
lose?
there. Yeah. Then I went down there and played a little bit of beach with them. And then I came down to their recruiting. There's 9 other freshmen in my recruiting class for volleyball, which is crazy. And we had a recruit practice. And I went down there and then she offered me right after practice. So I
Wow.
showered in the locker room and then signed for both sports
That's
right after it.
really cool. Wow. Like that's a really unique experience that I'm sure not a lot of athletes that are, a lot of athletes that go to college only play one sport anyways. And I'm sure if they are a dual sport athlete, not many of them have signed for both sports on the same exact day. That's pretty
I
wild.
know, it was crazy. I looked down, like, at the paper
Yeah.
or LOI, and it has 2 lines. Like, I had to sign my name twice. I was like, "This is crazy."
That's
It's
awesome.
crazy.
Again, hanging out with Chapel Cunningham here on the Word with GNR Future Stars of Tomorrow segment. All right, so you just finished your sophomore year there in college. I know it's been a couple years since you've been in high school, but what did you find was the biggest difference between going to high school, playing high school sports, and being at college, and now being away from, obviously away from home a little bit and being at college as well and playing college athletics?
Yeah, I had to learn just, like, how to be by myself a little bit more, how to provide for myself, like, what to eat, stuff like that. Playing in high school versus college has been super different. At the beginning, I played NAIA school, so at the beginning, like, right when I got there my freshman year, it was volleyball first. And everybody there is good. Like everybody in college is good. Like they might be the big fish at a high school, but then everybody in college is the big fish in their high school. So everyone's good. I had
Yeah.
to learn how to like compete for my spot. Not saying in high school that I was just like given my spot, but there was like a big difference in skill in high school, I feel like. And then in college, like everybody's good, like I said. So everybody's competing and there's no like, I don't know, like shoe-ins or anything like that in college. Like you really got to work for your spot
Mm-hmm.
and every practice counts, every rep counts. I learned that a lot too, especially in softball my freshman year, because I came in as a shortstopper thinking I was going to play shortstop. And our shortstop, when I got there, was 23 years old. Like she was a grad student. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to play shortstop. Like, nope, I'm going to have to learn how to play something else.
Yeah.
So then I literally asked my coach, I was like, can I take reps somewhere else? Like, this girl's good. Like, I'm not going to beat her out at all. And I know that. So I was like, I've never played first before, but I think I'm gonna try. Like, can I try it out? And she was like, yeah, go for it. And then I ended up like fighting for my spot, and somehow ended up playing first base my freshman year.
Well, you are
Yeah,
pretty tall, I think I saw, right? Like 5'11"?
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean that kind of makes sense. And for a shortstop, that's pretty tall for a shortstop too. But again, you're just an athlete. You play all over the place as well. So that's pretty cool. Now, going away from home and moving away and going as far away as you did in Lakeland, Florida at Southeastern University, what was that transition like? Did you find it difficult to be away from home? Had you been away from home like that far for that, obviously not that extended period of time, but it just is, I know it's a little bit of a different situation. What was it like being away from home?
yeah. It was definitely weird at first. I had to get used to it a little bit, but the way that our dorms were set up freshman year, I lived with like half softball, half volleyball people because I knew that like I couldn't live with just one. I'd be out of the loop with the other sport. So I wanted to just like kind of stay in the mix with everybody.
Yeah.
So I lived with it was the way that the dorm was set up, it was one door from the hallway and then into like a little living room and then there's two doors, four beds in one room. So like I went
Four
from
girls in
living
one room?
yes,
Oh
four
boy.
beds in one room. Yeah, it was crazy, and that was
Yikes.
something I had to get used to for sure. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't have any privacy at all. Like, I would like anytime I'd be in the bathroom, like that's the only privacy I'd get. So that and like driving in my car, stuff like that. Like I had to take that time like for myself, I felt like.
Yeah.
That was something that was eye-opening for sure. But then just like having the community and like right when I came into college, like I had 30 30 best friends right off the bat coming from like two sports, you know? Just having like a roster of best friends is super cool.
Yeah.
And like getting to
Yeah.
live with them and all the time.
Again, we're hanging out with Chapel Cunningham here on our Future Stars of Tomorrow segments. And now, talk to me a little bit about what the experience has been like for you being a dual sport athlete. And you mentioned, like having all these, friends on both teams, and you kind of come into it with a built-in group of friends, which is an awesome experience. Especially when everybody's kind of going into college. You don't know anybody. You moved away from home. Like you got to try to meet new people. It is a great way to do that. But what's the experience been like for you playing both sports and kind of balancing sports and school and trying to have a social life as well?
Right. Yeah. It's been something to get used to for sure. Um, Coming in my freshman year, I was a little bit nervous because I was like, I wanted to major in pre-med, which I still am. So, and I was like I was getting not a lot of pushback, but a lot of people like, wow, you're gonna play two sports and major in like a biology, something super difficult like that. And I was like, well, I'm gonna try. Like, I'm just gonna test it out and see. But everybody at Southeastern has been like so encouraging, so supportive. And then talking about playing volleyball and softball, volleyball being in the fall, I'm all in. Volleyball season is super hectic. We play like every Wednesday, Saturday. And then our softball team has a fall season, which I don't get to play in at all. I don't, like I said a little bit earlier, I don't touch a softball at all until like Christmas break, I feel like. So I try to like take any opportunity, any off time, anything like that, just to like run over to the field and hang out with them in the dugout. Or just, they play some fall games. They play against a high school team. They're a super good high school team in Lakeland, or I guess it's Bartow. But they go over there, and I've been like both the past 2 years, just like trying to support them and like showing my face, just making sure people like still know I'm there, trying to be a part of the team. And then in the spring season, our volleyball team plays beach during softball season, and their schedule isn't it's a little bit more laid back in the spring, so they come and like watch our games and stuff, some of my volleyball friends have become friends with my softball teammates, and that's been super cool to watch as well. Just like their friendship that's formed like through living together, just like being
Yeah.
around each other. Yeah,
And you're
it's been
sort of the
super cool.
link between it all.
Yeah, it's been super cool to
Just
see
bringing people together. That's great.
that.
Now, speaking of bringing people together or carrying people, you had a very unique incident happen this past season in softball where a girl from an opposing team hit a grand slam, goes around first base, halfway around first base, in between first and second. She pulls up. I don't know what happened with her lower leg, but she sustained an injury and she couldn't make it all the way around the bases. But that's when you and one of your teammates took over. Tell us a little bit about that story and what happened there.
Yeah, so we were playing Grandview out of Iowa.
Iowa, yep.
Yeah, out of Iowa. And I think I don't even know. I know that it was the 5th inning and I know that I was up to bat next inning and I was so like ready to go. And this girl who had I think she got a hit before that. There's bases loaded. It was a little bit of a tense situation. She's a senior. Now I know that now. Hits a bomb. Like it hits the road. Like she hits it so far. So she hits it, I just admire it, right? And so I'm like, oh no, oh no, like now we're down. This is not gonna be good. And then I'm like still looking like at the ball and I'm waiting for her to like come around second base, right? And I like never see her. And I'm like, that's weird. So then I turn around and I see her like laying on the ground between first and second. And like she's screaming. And so me and the first baseman, her name's Leah, we like look at each other and we're like, interesting. I don't know what happened. So we like run over there and there's like a big crowd around her. Like everyone's talking to her and she's screaming. She's asking for help from her coach. The umpires are standing over her and her coach is like, I can't help you. I'm sorry. And then she was like, well, like I can't. Like she's crying and she's like, I can't move. Like I can't get up. And then me and Leah looked at each other and we were like, I looked at the umpire and I was like, but we're allowed to like pick her up, right? And they were like, yeah, y'all are the only ones. So Leah and I looked at each other and we were like, all right, let's pick her up. So then at first we just like picked her up. We were gonna let her like hop on one of her legs, and then that she seemed like she was still in pain doing that, and it was taking a while. So then we just literally like picked her all the way up, took her around second, like tapped her foot on second, tapped her foot on third, and then dropped her at home. Right when we got to home, she was like, "Can I please have a hug? Like, thank you guys so much." She was apologizing the whole time we were carrying her, and we were like, "No, like you deserve this. Like,
Yeah.
if I would have hit a grand slam, I would want somebody else to help me." So, at Southeastern, like that's kind of our motto that we do too. Like we're a Christian school, so like do unto others like as we would want to be done to us. And that in that situation, we just knew that was the right thing to do. So we picked her up. She deserved it. We couldn't take that away from her at all.
Yeah, wow, that's incredible. A lot of people at that moment, I think it was like I read it was like a 4-1 game, and she just hit the home run to give her team the lead. Like if she doesn't score, if some of her teammates or the coaches had picked her up, she would have been automatically out, not able to finish the trip around the bases. So it would have just been a tie game, and kind of competitively, you're like, all right, that is probably better for us. But the fact that you
Yeah.
guys wanted to go out there and help her out and help her around the bases, she deserved it, as you mentioned. Did you ever find out like what happened to her, like in between first and second?
Yeah, she tore her Achilles, which was like a super
Oh,
big injury. Yeah, I know.
oh,
You could kind when we were carrying her, this is a little bit disgusting, but you could like see the lump in her sock.
oh,
Yeah, it was bad. And I knew that she was in a lot of pain, but I was like, I don't know what she did. And her foot was just like kind of dangling.
ugh.
Yeah, it was
You,
bad.
yeah. Have you
Season
ever?
ending for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, absolutely. And having to be a senior at that point. Again, I don't know if she had like a COVID year, she could come back or anything along those lines. But how did the softball season end up for you guys? You finished with the highest batting average on the team as a sophomore. So again, doesn't touch a softball, until the winter time, and she goes out there and just no big deal leads her team to in batting average. How did the season go for you guys last year?
Yeah, it went pretty well. We ended a little bit earlier than we did my freshman year. My freshman year, we made it all the way to the World Series. We got fourth. So that kind of set a standard for my sophomore year coming in. And we did pretty well. We got second in our conference tournament to Coastal Georgia. That championship game was 11 innings long. It was crazy. I know it was like 3 hours. It was wild. And then we got an at-large bid to go and play an opening round of nationals. We got a super hard opening round. We had to go to Southern Oregon, which was super fun because the trip was awesome. Never been to Oregon
Yeah.
before. So that was cool, but it was a super tough opening round. We didn't play super well. We went 0-2, but Southern Oregon won their opening round and ended up winning the national championship. So if we're going to lose to anybody, I would rather lose to someone who's going to win the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tough opening round, and you'll be going into your junior year coming up this coming season. I know volleyball starts in about a month or so that'll be exciting to get into. My last question, again, we're hanging out with Chapel Cunningham here on our Future Stars of Tomorrow segment. My last question to you is, when all of the athletics is done and things like that, you mentioned, kind of pre-med or medical school or something along those lines. What do you want to do with your life after college, after athletics, or you want to play? I know there's professional softball leagues and things like that. What do you want to do when you're done with school?
Yeah, so right now I'm not super sure. I am still majoring in biology, like pre-med sciences. So I'm kind of thinking I have like three options. I could go to perfusion school, which is something I learned about when I was shadowing a cardiologist last year. It's only 2 years, and there's only like it's a new, kind of a new thing. There's only like 16 schools in the U.S., which
Wow.
sounds super cool. They work like the heart-lung machine and open heart surgery, stuff like that. Um, or I could go to med school, which I don't know. Something about like going to school for like 8 to 10 more years is something that I just don't think it's not super appealing, but
Yeah.
it's been my dream for a long time to be an orthopedic surgeon. So, and I've been like, sports has been my life, my whole life. So I feel like if I did something like that, I really want to work for like a pro team of some sort. I don't really care if it's NFL, anything like that, NBA, MLB. I could care less, honestly, but I don't know, something about being like, I gotta stay in the sports world somehow. I
Yeah.
also love kids a lot, so maybe something like pediatrics or something with like athletes, but I'm not sure quite yet.
Okay. Well, you got some time to figure it out. That's what college is for, right? You get a chance to kind of see
Yeah.
what you like, what you don't like. And I guess my last question for you, you talking about sports and things like that, you being such a big sports person, who are the teams that you follow? Do you have favorite teams like baseball, basketball, football, college, anything like that?
Yeah, the Braves. I'm a big Braves fan. I've been to 2 games so far this summer. Yeah, Austin Riley, big fan of him,
Yeah, he's
honestly.
he's very good. I wish this would work better for me right now, but they're doing horrific this year. I grew up in Connecticut, so I'm like lived right next to New York, and my dad was a Mets fan, so it is kind of what it is.
Okay, yeah, I feel you. You're not a Braves fan at all? They're doing
Absolutely not.
good.
They are probably the team that I dislike the most in Major League Baseball
That is
because
crazy.
I grew up, I'm 33. I grew up in like the 90s, and that's when the Braves were just winning NL East champion division and the NL East division every single year. They won it like 14 years in a row, and that's what I grew up with. And so like we never beat you in the playoffs, and it was just I just despised the Braves and Larry Jones and Andrew and Javi Lopez and Maddox and Smoltz and all of those
Yep.
guys.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's okay. Braves aren't for everybody, I guess.
No, they're very good though. I still give them the best chance to win the World Series this year, especially if they get Freed and Wright back and things like that.
Yeah.
We'll kind of see what happens. But again,
Oh,
Chapel Cunningham has been our guest here on our Future Stars and Tomorrow. Chapel, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you being with us and letting us see kind of your little your sports journey in your life a little bit.
of course. Thanks for having me.